on Rock Influences, we'll look at the music of the South with guest host Charlie Daniels and in-concert performances by Jason and the Scorchers, the Swimming Pool Q's, and the Charlie Daniels Band.
Slow, and the flag's been flying low, and a lot of people saying that America's fixing to fall. But speaking just for me and some people from Tennessee, we got a thing or two to tell you all. This lady may have stumbled, she ain't never failed, and if the Russians don't believe that, well, they can all go straight to hell. Gonna put her feet back on the paths of righteousness, and then God bless America again. And you never did think that it ever would happen again. In the middle of a DJ, you never did think that we'd ever get together again. Hold me down, show food, you're walking real tight, I'm talking real loud again. You're in the middle, you never did think that it ever would happen again. From the sound of it Long Island, out San Francisco Bay, and everything that's in between them is our home. Now we may have done a little bit of fighting amongst ourselves, but all of y'all outside people just best leave us alone. Cause we'll all stick together, and you take that to the bank. That's the cowboys and the hippies, and the rebels and the yanks. Just go and lay your hand on a New Jersey General fan, and I think you're gonna finally understand. And you never did think that it ever would happen again. In the middle of a DJ, you never did think that we'd ever get together again. Well, we're down, show food, Joe, I'm walking real proud, and we're talking real loud again. Here in the middle, you never did think that it ever would happen again. You never did think that we'd ever get together again. Well, we're damn sure food, you're walking real proud, and we're talking real loud again. Here in America, you never did think that it ever would happen again.
Hi everybody, I'm Charlie Daniels, and tonight on Rock Influences, we're going to be dealing with the music from my part of the country, the great Southeast.
From colonial times through the short-lived days of the Confederacy right up to the present moment, no region of the United States has a richer, more colorful history or abundant cultural heritage than the American South. And one of the better-known elements of Southern culture is unquestionably rock and roll. The basic ingredients of rock and roll are black rhythm and blues music as performed by Southerners like John Lee Hooker, Elmore James, and Muddy Waters, and country and western music played by artists like Alabama-born Hank Williams.
Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? I'm about cooking something up with me. Hey, sweet baby, don't you think, baby, we could find us a brand new recipe? I got a hot rod poured and a $2 bill, and I know a spot right over the hill. There's soda pop and the dancing free. So if you want to have fun, come along with me. Say, hey, good looking, what you got cooking? saying something up to me.
In my opinion, as far as country music is concerned, especially in the earlier years, there was everybody else, and then there was Hank Williams when it came to writing a song. He was in a class totally and completely by himself, not just in writing, but in performing. I think his style embodied a lot of blues, a lot of feeling that people ordinarily wouldn't think of as being blues. They think more B.B. King and Albert King and those sort of people as being blues, and they are definitely, and some of the best blues there is. But also, to me, I heard a lot of blues in Hank Williams.
In fact, nearly all the major architects of early rock and roll had roots in the South, and that includes Bo Diddley, Fats Domino, Little Richard, the Everly Brothers, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, and of course, Elvis Presley.
You ain't nothing but
Elvis was part of the original Sun Records family in Memphis, founded by Sam Phillips.
We worked awfully closely together, and I gave him lots of latitude, but I also honestly believe I had an ear for when that take was there, when that essence was there, when that message was put the best way I believe that artist could give it to us. I think I recognized that cut.
Sam basically knew what he wanted to hear. He couldn't explain it to you. But if you heard a sound coming through that board, he said, that's what I want. He thought his thinking was on the same level of the people on the street. So he knew what those people on the street wanted, because he was out amongst them all the time. And he could feel what they wanted. That's why he cut those records.
Other Sun recording artists included Jerry Lee Lewis from Faraday, Louisiana, and Carl Perkins, one of the fathers of rockabilly.
burn my house, steal my car, drink my liquor from an old fruit jar. Do anything that you wanna do. Honey, lay off by them shoes. Don't you step on my blue suede shoes. Well, you can do anything but lay off my blue suede shoes. Rock! For the money, for the show, you get ready now, go cat, go, but don't step on my blue suede shoe. Yeah, you can do anything but lay off my blue suede shoe. Well,
Originally from Kentucky, the Everly Brothers moved to Nashville in the mid-50s and signed with Cadence Records. While there, the brothers developed their close country harmonies to produce such classics as All I Have to Do Is Dream, Wake Up Little Susie, and Bye Bye Love.
bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, sweet baby. Hello, emptiness. I feel like I could die. Bye-bye, my love, goodbye. I'm a through with romance. I am through with love. I am through with counting the stars above. And there's a reason that I'm so free. My love and baby is through with me. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye, happiness. Hello, loneliness. I think I'm gonna die. Bye-bye.
What Sun Records was to Memphis of the 50s, Stax Volt Records was to Memphis of the 60s. Stax set up shop in an abandoned vaudeville house in 1962 and almost immediately began cranking out hits like Green Onions by its own house band Booker T and the MGs. One of the MGs was guitarist-songwriter Steve Cropper, who co-authored rock and soul classics like Knock on Wood, In the Midnight Hour, Soul Man, and Dock of the Bay.
Well, I think Booker, along with what it was like working at Stax, when we used to go there, I tell people this all the time without really making it up, it was sort of like going to church every day. You get up in the morning, you take a shower, you get in the car, and I mean, the energy started hitting you before you got there. And we sort of had a standing rule of we wanted to start each day around 11 o'clock. And you know how hard it is for musicians to get up. And people like Al Jackson and Booker T sometimes, I mean, they were playing some of these clubs that didn't close till 2:30 or 3 in the morning, you know. They were playing that late shift. And for them to go home and just try to catch a few hours sleep and then try to be back at the studio saying, hey, I'm ready to work at 11 was a little difficult sometimes. But I think the whole atmosphere of the guys like the Memphis Horns and people like that and the rhythm section, it was really like going to church. It was just this high energy level, and all the guys were waiting for the next one. You know?
No artist was more successful for the Stax Volt organization than Otis Redding.
The thing that sticks in my mind the most is when Otis was going to come to town. I mean, the week before Otis came, that whole building was just vibrating. It was amazing. Everybody couldn't wait. Otis is coming in next week. Wow. You know.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, found out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take care of T-C-B. Respect is what I want. Respect is what I need. Got to help. Got to help, baby. Got to help. Give it to me, baby. Give it to me. Ooh, we'll see if I got it. I got it. Lord, I got it. Give it to me. Lord, I got it. Lord, I got it. Give it to me. Lord, I got it. Give it to me. Lord, I got it. Give it to me.
Another hotbed of musical activity in the South was centered around Rick Hall's famed studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Artists like Joe Tex, Percy Sledge, Wilson Pickett, and Aretha Franklin recorded most of their rock and soul classics there in the 1960s, accompanied by the much sought-after Muscle Shoals rhythm section.
The musicians, see, that's what makes something happen, is you get this rhythm section together like they had in Muscle Shoals. And I would mention some of the guys, but I'm afraid I'll forget some of their names, and I don't want to do that. But the musicians, the rhythm section, the horn section that they put together, and the background singers, the people that were involved in that made this thing happen. They cut stuff they got that feel, they got that laid back. You hear the word laid back got so overused in the 60s, I hesitate to use it. It's a cliche word like good old boy anymore. And it's kind of lost the meaning it used to have. But laid back at one time meant that you laid right in on top of that beat. You didn't rush it. You know, if you're playing drums or whatever, you didn't rush it, you didn't pull it down, but you just laid it in there. Just laid it right there. You refused to go anywhere with it. It just stayed right there. And you put an Aretha Franklin on top of something like that, and the results hit records.
New Orleans has been an American musical capital since the days of the Civil War. Ragtime, jazz, and Dixieland all found a welcome home here. And even a primitive form of rock and roll can be heard in the mid-1940s music of Professor Longhair. And what some consider the first rock and roll hit, Good Rockin' Tonight by Roy Brown, was recorded in 1948. And certainly Fats Domino was playing rock and roll down in New Orleans long before anybody called the music by that name. Even Little Richard, who was actually from Macon, Georgia, did not achieve success until he began recording his classic early rockers for Specialty Records in New Orleans in September of 1950. In the 60s, New Orleans produced a wide variety of rock and roll styles and stars. Among the most talented and outrageous was Dr. John the Night Tripper. More recent practitioners of the New Orleans style in the 70s and now the 80s are the Neville Brothers.
Memphis has a mystique. New Orleans has a mystique. Towns along that river just got a certain mystique, a certain feel to it. Plus the fact that that's where the music came from. The music started down south of there and came up, and all these towns got swept up in this music.
The new music of the South is well represented by one of our guests tonight, Jason and the Scorchers. Based in Nashville, this band combines a lot of Southern rock and roll influences with their own unique style and energy.
for a night with you in New Jersey. Shopping around. Did you ever buy the Johnny's hair? Me, how we found at the salvage store among the lost and found. Shopping around. Did you ever buy the Johnny's hair? Me, how we found at the salvage store among the lost and found. I said among the lost and found. I said.
If I had to give anybody credit for what happened, the upsurge of so-called Southern music or Southern rock in the 60s or the 70s, I think, basically late 60s, early 70s, it would be certainly a whole band. The Allman Brothers come to mind, Duane Allman in particular.
Despite the tragic deaths of Duane Allman and Barry Oakley, the Allman Brothers Band continued to make vital and exciting music over the next decade.
Wake up, mama, turn your lamp down low. Wake up, mama, turn your lamp down low. You got no nerve, babe, to travel down from your door. I woke up this morning, had them states were all blue. Woke up this morning, had them states were all blue. I looked over the corner, babe, Grandma seemed to have them too. Oh, look at that thing.
The Allman Brothers Band were fiercely proud of their Southern heritage and thoroughly influenced by the complete range of progressive rock experimentation going on at the time. With their twin lead guitars and double drums, the Allman Brothers Band established the mode for countless other kinds to follow. Among the most memorable were the Marshall Tucker Band from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Their basic Southern rock sound was enhanced by an inspired use of alto saxophone and flute. The Outlaws from Tampa, Florida combined Eagles-like harmonies with Allman-like instrumentals into a smooth, pleasing blend. Wet Willie were often considered the quintessential Southern bar band, and Leonard Skinner from Jacksonville, Florida were second only to the Allman Brothers in terms of critical praise and commercial success.
Well, I hope Neil Young will remember. Southern man don't need him around anyhow. Sweet home Alabama, where the skies are so blue. Sweet home Alabama, Lord, I'm coming home to you.
Tragically, lead singer Ronnie Van Zant, along with group members Stephen and Cassie Gaines, were killed in a plane crash in October of 1977.
People don't realize that we do carry a lot of the spirit of Ronnie. And, you know, Ronnie taught us one thing, and I know Donnie can agree, that is not to be a clone of someone else, you know, to try to be an individual and have individualistic style, that kind of thing. Like I said, there's other groups that tried to be Leonard Skinner, and they still want to be Leonard Skinner and that kind of thing.
And did a terrible job at it.
38 Special also originated in Jacksonville, Florida. Their hit albums and singles have made them a major music force in the 80s.
You know, I've had people ask me a lot of times about Southern music as if it were a genre of music, a category of music, and I've never seen it as such. I have always seen similarities between the Southern bands, the Leonard Skinner Band, the Marshall Tucker Band, the Allman Brothers Band, the Charlie Daniels Band. There are a lot of similarities, but the music is all different. Everybody has their own style and way of doing it. The Allman Brothers Band to me was a blues band. The Leonard Skinner Band was a rock and roll band. The Marshall Tucker Band had kind of country leanings, and we're lost off out there in the middle somewhere, I don't know where. But all of the bands were different, but where the similarity really came in, where what people saw, I think, was the social and environmental things that we were all raised pretty much basically the same way.
We'd like to dedicate this next song to Elvis Presley and to Dwayne Allman and to Barry Oakley and to Ronnie Van Zant and to Tommy Caldwell. The switches running right on time. Tucker boys are cooking down in Carolina. People down in Florida can't be still when old Leonard Skinner's picking down in Jacksonville. People down in Georgia come from near and far to hear Dickie Betts picking on that red guitar. So gather round, children, get down. Y'all get down, children, get loud. You can be loud here and be proud. You can be proud here and I'll be proud. You can rebel. South's gonna do it again.
Not only did the blues originate in the Southeast, but the forefathers of R&B like Ray Charles and James Brown in the 50s, Ike and Tina and Sam and Dave in the 60s, and Al Green in the 70s emerged from there as well. Although not often associated with the South, hard rock was well represented by Black Oak, Arkansas, whose boogie philosophy and lead singer were immortalized in the hit single Jim Dandy to the Rescue. And Molly Hatchet, a guitar-heavy boogie band from Jacksonville, who enjoyed multi-platinum success in the 70s. Southern music of the 80s is vital and healthy and encompasses a wide variety of styles and musicians, like Tom Petty, one of the most successful mainstream rock artists of the 80s. Rita Coolidge, born in Nashville, sang with Joe Cocker and Leon Russell before embarking on a successful solo career. Singer-songwriter Jimmy Buffett from Mobile, Alabama, a true Southern original.
If there's anything that's reflective of Southern tradition when it goes to music, it's everybody loves to jam. And that I love about it, and I think that's one of the strongest. That's why it's a lasting type of music, and whether it's country, whether it's New Orleans music or jazz or hardcore rock and roll, done with a little bit of Southern flair, it has a little more hominess to it, I think. And that's why I love it as my influences.
Wasted away again in Margaritaville. Here we are, searching for my lost shaker stop. Some people claim that there's a common to blame, but I know it's nobody's fault. I don't know the reason stay here all season with nothing to show but a brand new tattoo. But it's a real beauty, sweet Florida cutie. Over the years, well, I've met me a few. 2, 4, wasted away again in Margaritaville. 6, searching for my lost sugar stop. 8, 10, 12. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame. Now I think this could be my fault.
Then, too, there is a very hot and influential music scene centered around Athens, Georgia. It began in the mid-'70s with the B-52s, who immediately attracted a following with their quirky song selection and tongue-in-cheek choice of 60s dress and hairstyles. It continues today with R.E.M., a group influenced by the folk rock era, but with a new wave punch. One of the hottest Southern bands of the 80s is the Swimming Pool Q's from Atlanta, Georgia.
The Swimming Pool Q's, I can't speak for too many other groups from the South, but for our band, there's a cross-pollination there that I think is really what keeps popular music alive.
Trailways bus running away, I guess that's enough for us. When the heck's this bus gonna start? There's something in the back of my head that's about to break my heart. I can't hear the howl in the rear, the noise that the brakes bring. I hear the bells ring, the bells ring. Take their toll, but we're not fades away. An organ strains some dusty clapboard church, and it steams and the bells ring. The bells ring.
from the start. There's something in the back of my head that's about to crack my heart. I can't hear the howl in the rear and the noise that the brakes bring. I hear the bells ring, the bells ring. Oh, they stop that toll that tests my soul. The bells ring, and I've been straight in some dusty clapboard church, and the bells ring. A cold and ancient carol so loud and clear it comes, and the bells ring, the bells ring, the bells ring. Thank you.
Well, let's see. Now here in the 80s, we're getting a resurgence of the 60s, so we got to wait till the 90s for Southern rock to come back around. And so I'm saving my Confederate flag T-shirts, and I don't know. Look at Tom Petty in an album, you know, called Southern Accents, and there's a good flow. I don't think Southern music is ever going to stop. There's always going to be great players and great songs coming and great bands coming out of the South.
Every evening when I walk through the door, hear the same old lies that I heard before. Ready? Going out for me, going out with a friend. Do you really want me to believe that I can? You're telling white lies. You're telling white lies. Well, I can see right through that at the end of scars. It's a tale, I can tell, telling white lies. Ha! Take these chains and set me free. Release me from this misery. Don't waste your time with your alibi. But your heart can't hide what I see in your eyes. Right here. You're telling white lies. You're telling white lies. I can see right through that in the sky. There's a tale I can tell when you're telling white lies. Ha! improvise. I hope you don't mind. Yeah. Every evening when I walk through the door, hear the same old lies that I heard before. Do you really want us to believe that again? Telling white lies, telling white lies. I can see right through me in the sky. Cause I can tell, telling white lies, telling white lies, telling white lies. I can see right through that in the skies. Cause I can tell, telling white lies. White lies, white lies, white lies. Thank you.
As we have seen and heard tonight, the South has almost single-handedly invented rock and roll. It has combined fierce pride in its roots with total dedication to the music, and the end result is one of the longest-lasting influences of all of rock and roll. And here again is one of Southern rock's greatest ambassadors, the Charlie Daniels Band.
We thank you so much. We would like to do another song for you off of our Me and the Boys album. This is called That Good Old American Rock and Roll. Call it the rhythm, some people call it the blues, some people call it a pain in the ear, some people call it bad news, some people call it kind of red and loud, and so they turn up the radio. It's just that good old American rock and roll. They took a holler from a Mississippi cotton field. They took the thunder from Niagara Falls. They took the rattle from a New York subway train and a funky alligator's crawl. And they found a beat on Bourbon Street and Detroit had its soul. Just that good old American rock and roll. Well now, hello rock and roll, tell me where you've been. Oh buddy, it sure is good just to see you again. When the music starts swinging with the guitar singing and the backbeat takes control, it's just that good old American rock and roll. Some people like it a little, some people like it a lot, some people like it kind of rowdy and cool, some people like it red hot, some people like it kind of rowdy and loud, so they turn up the radio. It's just that good old American rock and roll. Well now, hello rock and roll, tell me where you've been. Oh buddy, it sure is good just to see you again. When the music starts steaming with the guitar screaming and the backbeat takes control, it's just that good old American rock and roll. Well, it's just that good old American rock and roll. Thank you.
Rock Influences has been brought to you by Clairol. Clairo is going to make someone beautiful today. Why not you?
There's a place too far away from here, out with the cows and the Lone Star beer, where the living and loving is quite all right with me. Well, they call it Texas, it's a mighty fine place to be. From Texas, Canada, El Paso, and Oklahoma, out to Mexico, and there's Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio. Well, the people in Texas sure do make you feel at home. Just want everybody to leave them alone while they drink their whiskey and roll their own, and they like their music with a little bit of southern sound. They kick up the hills every evening when the sun goes down. You call them country and they don't care, and if you don't like the way they wear their hair, they take your lights and shove them on up the line. 'Cause them people in Texas don't care if the sun don't shine.